think in terms of the overall season and the project where we came from last year and into our year two here, season two, and considering all that's happened this year with signing new players, COVID lockdowns, COVID restrictions around the games, I think we're more than happy with where we're going and what's happened up to now. I know people will look at the start that we had and probably say, if we had to get off to a better start, well, that's easy to say, but that's not how football works. Sometimes you're rebuilding a team and putting players together. It takes a bit of time, and we also had a very tough start to the season in terms of fixtures. But I always knew that we'd gel together and the team would start to do well. And it's always important to do well on the back end of a season, because that's when the big games are coming, and we're doing that. I think we've picked up now 42 out of 54 points, which is it's impressive. We could have picked up a few more than that. A couple of poor results in there that didn't go our way. But yeah, it's a tough league, but yeah, we're happy with where we are.
And Paul, yourself, you've been about the league and played football, managed, coached for a number of years. Has this been the most surreal season you've been involved in?
No, just in terms of the crowds and the whole pandemic and all that. But I mean, no matter where you are, you try to get the best players you can onto the park. And as Mick says, we had a really difficult start. There was teams after 15 games had 10 home games and we 10 away games. And we said it from the very start. The season isn't won and lost in 2 or 3 months. You know what I mean? It has to go right to the death. So, Mick said, there's a whole new, when we first took over, we had 5 registered players. So we had to build a squad from the 5th of July for a season starting on the 3rd of August. And that was our, and that got us through the first year. Some good lads, some good players, some good performances. And we'll get into Europe, we'll win the Irish Cup, we'll win in Europe. But it's a whole different new team this year. And it's taken a while for, a few of the boys to settle. But now they've settled, they've really knuckled down and, the strengths and weaknesses of the people that they're playing with, as well as the league itself, which is hard.
And Mick, you've always said you've come here not to build a team, but to build a squad. And against Cliftonville, there's boys come in like Joe Crow, maybe hasn't been as involved as he would have liked, but he's put in a good performance.
It's a credit to the way they take care of themselves when they're not playing, because it's hard to maintain a sort of your game rhythm. It's impossible without playing actual games, and this year with no reserve league going on, it's been even more difficult. But the players train hard. We're not in as many days as we would have been in a normal season, because we've had to restrict the number of contact times in terms of training. So we're not training as many hours or days. But when we are training, they're training hard, and it's a credit to those players like Joe and others. Kieran O'Connor, who's come in, Cricky Gallagher came into that game, put in a great performance, put in a great shift. So that's pleasing. We always knew we had to build a squad and build a team. And as I said, building a club is a lot more than just putting a team out on the park. Obviously, that's the thing that the fans see, and the thing that's most important to the fans is the winning team on the park. But we have to talk about what's going on behind the scenes here as well. We came into a club, basically the takeover happened 20 months ago, and we came into a club that had 5 players under contract, and Tuesday, Thursday night training, as was tradition in the Irish League, no full-time staff, no full-time players. We've now built a squad that's almost completely full-time, and next year it will be, likely. But behind the scenes, the work that goes into sustaining a full-time environment, from analysts to people that work to prepare food for the players, to kit men, to facility staff around the place to keep the place operating and open every day. So these are the massive things that go into rebuilding a club and moving towards full-time. And those are massive. Those are difficult to accomplish, and those are going on behind the scenes. So that's something that is important to let our supporters clubs know, our fans around the place, that it's not just about throwing a team together, training Tuesday and Thursday night, and go out and trying to win on a Saturday. It's about rebuilding this club, and we're doing that. We've hit some of our targets already in terms of, we wanted to qualify for Europe, we wanted to win a trophy, probably earlier than expected. But that doesn't stop us from trying to now accomplish the greater one, which is to remain highly competitive in this league, be pushing for league titles down the road. And we're as I say, we're happy, but we're not satisfied yet.
And Paul, in the first year, win the Irish Cup, great win in Europe, and then this year we've picked on in the league. It's this really only the start? Have you got a taste for more and to keep improving and to keep doing better?
Well, that was always the plan, to improve. Our biggest disappointment this year has been that supporters haven't been here to see it and haven't been here to see how the team itself has actually improved nearly week on week, and how they're playing. But hopefully restrictions will be lifted. Obviously it was brilliant, winning the Irish Cup and getting into Europe. But as I say, that was all part of the plan. The plan was never to get the appointment and stand still. The plan was to improve Glentoran Football Club and Glentoran Football Team, and we're getting there. We're very early into it, but we're trying to do, from the time we met with the shareholders around the Park Avenue and discussed what the plans were for the club and the team. We've continually done that, but I say it's early days. It's early days.
And building up to the post-split fixtures, this place is going to be very important to us the next lot of weeks.
Yeah, I believe it's 4 of the post-split fixtures. The 5 post-split fixtures will be here at the Oval. So that's important. We have a decent home record since we've been at the club. I believe it's around 40 games at the Oval, and we've lost, I'm not sure what it is, 4, something like that. You statisticians would know better than me, but we have a decent home record. We always said that was part of the plan, to make the Oval a sort of a difficult place or a fortress to come again. I think we've moved towards that. Teams now are not looking forward to come to the Oval to play us. Obviously it's better, as Paul said, when the fans are here, because the fans, the atmosphere they create, even when it was the 500 fans earlier this season, it creates an atmosphere that gives the players a lift, and that gives you the extra few percent. But hopefully the days of 2,000, 3,000, 6,000, 7,000 here are coming back. I don't know when that is, but it's coming soon, I hope, because that's a massive, massive part of this club, is the fan base. The biggest and best fan base, I would say, in the country, no doubt, week on week. More fans than anywhere else, more travelling fans than anyone else. So hopefully we get that back.
And then the split in good form and strong form, is it just a case of finishing the season as strong as we plan and see where we finish up?
It's just the same as. There's nothing different from what the boys do in training, how they prepare. And I know Joe was mentioned earlier, and not only Joe, the other players that haven't been playing, the work that they've put in outside when they haven't been playing. You're here every week. You see the boys training the game after Saturday. They're in extra sessions when the other boys aren't. So it's really important, and it's really disciplined and really professional, because it's hard when you're not playing. So a good squad of players and a good panel of players don't just fall into your lap. You have to work hard to get them. And especially when there's other teams with good players, you have to do everything you can to get these players in. And we work like mad over the summer doing this and preparing for this scenario. Like the end of the season, when boys are getting flogged, and it doesn't matter, I know with COVID and all that at the minute, but at the end of every season it's the same. There's a lot of games been called off and they're trying to cram them all in. And we said that if this happens this year, we made sure that we were going to have a squad of good enough quality players to whatever level we have put on the pitch.
And within the space of 10 days in this league, you can almost have 3 games. Has it been a case for you guys that, in terms of the team level or board level, you're really going game by game, or are you still looking at the wider picture and building for the future and thinking towards next season? What sort of way do you address it and look at it?
Yeah, in terms of, it's both, a bit of both. With the games that are coming up, we just came off a run of, I believe it was 5 games in 13 days. That's even at the highest levels of football, where the players are physically probably better prepared. That wouldn't happen. So we're coming off, it was 5 games. Some of our players played in all 5 of those, only a few of them. But so that's a hard. So when you've got a schedule like that, you're just looking at the next one, and the next one's the biggest one. In terms of building for the future, yes. We have our recruitment working in the background. Do we need to have players come in? Will players move on? Well, so that's always going on. But we now know that we have a very competitive squad, in terms of internally competitive, players fighting for places, as well as competitive in the league. We know we don't need much to remain competitive and even push on. So it's not the case of 20 months ago coming in and having to find 15 players. This past summer I think we brought in 7 or 8. And then in the January transfer window we brought in only 2, with Reece Marshall and Conor McMenamin. So the numbers will become smaller, And if it is a player that's going to come to Glentoran, it has to be better than the quality we have. And it's not easy to find in our league. It's not easy to find anywhere. So we have to be very selective now. If somebody's going to come to Glentoran now, it has to be substantially better than what we have. Otherwise, what's the point in adding? So that's going on in the background all the time.
And Paul, we got some good news recently about Conor McManaman's injury. He might be back sooner than expected between him and Dale. What's the injury update there?
Well, I mean, Connor he'll start running this week, is that right? And Big Deal still, he's doing some upper body stuff. You know, it's not serious, but it's something that Camper rushed back, but he should be available the next couple of weeks. And again, but it shows you the strength, you know, of the squad. Like we played Cliftonville the other night up there, you were playing well and you were playing at Solitude, but you know, Conor McManaman wasn't playing, Robbie McDaid was on the bench, Luke McCulloch, Marcus Kane, you know, and Big Deal as well, you know. So, and to go up there and get a 2-0 win was, you know, was really, really important. But it shows you, you know, the strength that we have in the squad. But like we go through, the biggest debate that we have is right who will play this week. You know, when you do have to, and you do want to rest players, and you do need to rest players, but we're lucky that we could actually choose, I reckon, any player, any 11 from our squad that could go out and be competitive against any team in this league, which is it's good.
And there's been a lot spoken about this week in the wider football context in terms of European Super League, and almost football is united against it. But how do you think Glentoran Irish League football is going to come out of, you know, the coronavirus pandemic? What do you foresee football being like after all this?
I think this year we'll come out of this soon, hopefully, and hopefully fans will be allowed back by pre-season and the new season. But I think if fans were allowed back now, I think we would have had the biggest crowds probably in Irish League history. I mean, not the old days when the stadiums held, you know, like the overhaul to 15,000 and such, but I think in recent times this would have been the best season in terms of attendance. So I think that will happen. I think season tickets for all teams will increase next year, which is a good thing. I think the quality of the league has improved across the board, from Dungannon, who's currently sitting at the bottom, playing some good football. Every team improving, being more so as a league, we're much more competitive. The style of play across the league from top to bottom varies, as opposed to perhaps people would say in the older days it was a very direct style of football, and Irish League was known for that. Didn't make it right or wrong, that was just the style at that time. You know, but now you can go from teams from bottom to top who play a certain way. Some get it down and play it, some have a mixture, some still very direct. So the league, for entertainment values, up there. I think there's a lot of fans that would prefer to watch Irish League matches than sit at home and watch the English Premier League. So the league's in a good place. I do think and predict that it'll likely move to a summer calendar in the coming year or two. You know, we have the Winter World Cup coming up in 2022, November, December 2022. So leagues don't compete during the World Cup. So are we going to shut down for November, December time when the World Cup's on in 2022 anyway? So all these things have to be taken into account by all the clubs, the NIFL clubs, and say, look, are we going to try this? Are we going to discuss it? And I think they are at the minute. I believe a working group has been set up to consider a calendar shift. Another positive out of this year is the variation in games. You know, some on Friday nights, some on Saturdays, and I do believe that Sunday will become a valuable option as well. So that's good news as well. So the league is moving into the future. I think the good thing about the summer calendar shift will be the quality of the surfaces. I know a couple more teams are putting down artificial pitches this summer, so that'll improve the quality in the league as well. So overall, it's a really positive time for the Irish League. Calendar shift likely. More teams might move towards full time. You might see that happening. And the teams that don't move full time will still benefit from the full time clubs, because the part time players have to play somewhere. So overall, yeah, really excited about where the league's going.
Finally, this has just been a massive project between the two of you to take on and work down here every day. We're still enjoying it.
When we win, we enjoy it.
As somebody once said to me, the best job in the world is football player. the next best job in the world is football coach. The only thing that messes it up is the games. You know, if we could just train and be in pre-season and work with the lads and have a laugh and a joke, this would be the best job in the world. But, you know, look, of course we enjoy it. That's why we do it. You know, and the biggest thing about this is when people tell you you can't, or you couldn't, or that will never work, that drives us on as well. You know, because we know what we've done, we know what we're doing, and we have a good idea where we're going. You know, there's big plans for Glentoran, you know, in terms of stadium projects, and a lot of infrastructure around this place will be changed over the coming years. That's the plans, and part of that is, you know, pulling the team from where it was for almost a decade to try and get it back to firing on all cylinders. So yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, the pressures that come with getting the results every Saturday, that they start to build at times, but it's part of the job. That's enjoyable too. And the best part about this job is working with the players. Players have been brilliant. Our group of players I know every manager will likely say this, but we've got a brilliant group of lads here from all walks of life, all parts of the country, some overseas, and they all get along brilliant. So that's the most pleasing part, coming to work every day.